Hello everyone and welcome back to another ChessTube episode. In this video I'm going to be discussing about one of the main caveats of the London system, and at the end of this video I'm going to be dropping a very interesting tip on how the top players are handling this position and what's the move order that they prefer in their own game, so stay tuned for that. So the main thing about the London system is that you can get to the position that you just saw in the introduction by plenty of move orders, but you actually want to know how to get there in the best version possible in order to not allow your opponent to punish you very early on. So whether you're watching this for the white side or for the black side, you will learn what are the best move orders and also how you can try to punish if the white players are inaccurate. So starting with the 4d5. Already we have quite a big moment in the game actually on the second move, which if you are not really that familiar with opening theory, you might not even notice that this is actually an important decision in the game. The modern move order is to start by going second move bishop to f4. So why is that? Well, knight f3 is, if you're trying to get the same thing as you do with bishop to f4, it's allowing black a pretty unpleasant move. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So it's knight f6, bishop to f4, c5, e3, and now the move knight to c6. And just so many players are going for c3 here, which is allowing black to get quite a pleasant position after the move queen to b6. So just be very careful with the details. Make sure you have this the same position on the board, because my explanations are just related to the exact position that is on the board. I mean, if you have let's say like a different position, even though it might look similar, the explanations are not going to be that helpful. So just make sure you're having the same position on the board, and this is kind of move by move stuff, so you have to know this by heart. So queen to b6, attacking the b2 pawn. Well, what's the point here? Why is this so good for black? You may be wondering, because white can just go queen to b3. So the point here is that on queen b3, black has this c4 move. So already white has two options. You can either go for the endgame or play queen c2. The endgame is quite pleasant for black. After queen takes b6, a b6. After the move knight b to d2, black plays b5. And notice that already a3 is not that effective, because black can just play b4 anyways. Because cb4, black can just go knight takes b4, because the rook is pinned on the a file, so the knight is safe from b4. So after like rook c1, knight to c6, bishop to e2, bishop f5. Black has a very comfortable position, being ready to finish his development. Something like e6, bishop e7, castle short, and then the move to b5, pawn to b5, and then maybe even b4. So don't really go for this endgames if you're with the white pieces, and black gets this kind of space with c4 and then b5, b4. The endgames are fine generally when black's pawn is like on c5, and you manage to get some kind of bishop b5. But now, since the bishop is really kind of passive, the endgames are not that advisable. They're not much worse, but they're kind of pleasant for black, and I don't really see a lot of winning chances for white, so try to avoid that. And the main point is that after c4, white's players used to go queen c2. And the thing is that now black has a very strong move, and you may want to note this by heart. So pause the video, take some notes, and this is a very important moment, so black can develop with tempo here. So the big problem of this move order is the move bishop to f5. So now notice that queen takes f5 will allow black to take on b2, picking up the a1 rook with a material advantage. So you can't really do that, and you have to move the queen and still defend b2. So queen c1 would be the best square. After e6, h3, making a square for the bishop. h6, black does the same thing. Knight b to d2, bishop e7, bishop e2, short castle by both sides. And now I really like this plan of black by going rook fc8. The main point being that after rook e1, black goes queen d8. Now he has a straightforward plan of going b5, a5, b4. Black won a comfortable game in Johansson against Benjamin Gladura in Reykjavik 2018. So yeah, this is, I mean, it's not a bad position for white yet. It's just that, you know, you can't really be that ambitious with such a queen on c1. So yeah, black also got some extra space on the queen side. It's not really easy to play for white. I mean, white still goes like bishop d1, c2, trades the bishop, but the best thing that white can fight for, I would say, it's equality in this position. White can't really play for an edge. So yeah, this is kind of the main reason why this move order is not the best. And yeah, I mean, just another side note here. After queen b6, white can also try to defend the pawn by going queen to c2. And here it's important to not fall for the upcoming trap, because you may be wondering, well, we can go for the same brilliant idea with bishop f5, right? But this would not work that well in the current position. I mean, obviously, queen takes f5 would allow black to just, you know, capture the pawn. So this would be no good for white. But white has the very strong intermezzo move d takes on c5. So trying to deflect the queen from the b file and then take the bishop. So black has to take the queen, but after cb, ab, knight h3, attacking the bishop. Bishop goes back. Knight b5, king to d7, because white was, you know, threatening to fork. King to d7, bishop to e2. White is simply better because of black's ruined pawn structure on the queen side. So you want to stay away from that as black. So instead of bishop to f5, you have two ways of playing this position. One of them is to go g6, going for a Grunfeld setup. Main idea is to play bishop g7, castle, and then knight d7 and d5, so giving black an easy game. So after knight bd2, bishop d7, h3, castle, bishop e2, knight d7, with the idea that black is preparing e5, castle short, e5, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, queen b3, black's attacking the d5 pawn, and you're just finishing your development with bishop to e6, defending the pawn. Black has a fine position, as shown in the game we're marking against Eduardo Roman in Benasque. So yeah, this would give black a pretty safe game. As you see here, black has not really a lot of things to worry about. So then yeah, this queen b6 move, it's kind of killing the fun for the white players after the move queen to b6. So here I'll be coming with the fresh move order, which is the move second bishop to f4, and you may be wondering, I mean, isn't that like the same thing? I mean, it looks very similar, right? You're just gonna play knight f3 and transpose. But I wanna just draw your attention to this and pay very close attention to the upcoming moves, because white is actually doing something really smart. So c5, e3, knight c6, and notice that white is postponing the move knight to f3. So you go c3, knight to f6, and again white is postponing the move knight to f3. So just like take these words and again take some notes. I don't know, just white is postponing the move knight to f3. Just keep that in mind, okay? Because what happens if white is postponing the move knight to f3 and goes knight to d2? Well, if you're trying the same queen to b6, then white has now the move queen to b3. So why is white postponing the move knight to f3? Because now c4 is no longer that great. Because queen c2, notice that black does no longer have this bishop f5 idea. Because now the knight is on d2 and the rook has some squares to move. And this will only be winning for white. So instead of that, queen c2, g6, again the knight on d2 is also controlling the e4 square, so white gets the extra option of going e4 with a better position for white already. So yeah, just by you know, the very small details are making the big difference in the London system. So just notice how, you know, white simply changed the move order very slightly in the opening and is simply avoiding the queen b6 line, that it's kind of killing all the fun. So yeah, this is not the end of the line. I want to also show you that, you know, after knight d2, if black plays e6, you go knight f3, and this is kind of the main tabia of the London system. I already analyzed a bunch of games on the channel, so make sure to check out my my London playlist if you missed the games. I've discussed about this position quite a lot, and I'll still do that in the future because there are always interesting ideas that can, you know, help you in your games. So yeah, just a side note, after knight to d2, queen to b6, queen to b3, black can also try, you know, other than c4, he can also go for the move e6, which, you know, so knight f3, bishop to e7, bishop e2, castle short, now h3, creating a square for the bishop. So just keep in mind that your bishop is very important on f4, so you constantly want to have this sort of h3 loop, so you keep it on the board, avoiding any knight h5 ideas, because you will have this juicy square on h2 for it, and your bishop is really nice on h2. So after the move h3, bishop d7 was played, castle short, rook e8, now the move rook f to c1. So the main thing is that for rook c8, white plays a4. Later took on b6, played bishop to b5, and then had a pleasant position in the game, Maxim Vachier-Lagrave against Vidal Levente. So yeah, that would be what happens if black goes for e6. The only option that remains is the move bishop to f5, which you could get sometimes, and you have to again take some notes. Just be very careful with the move order. Now white has a very strong move, which is d takes on c5. So notice that queen takes c5 will be dropping the b7 pawn, and black will already be in a lot of trouble. So black is forced to go for the endgame, queen takes b3, and now you want to take with the a pawn, so you're opening up the a file for your rook. So now black goes e5, and at first glance it looks like, you know, black has strong center, that's gonna win back the c5 pawn. But in reality, the things are not that nice for black, because white simply goes bishop to g3, bishop takes c5, knight gf3, attacking the e5 pawn. Now after the move knight d7, white goes b4. The bishop has to go on d6, otherwise b6 is coming and the e5 pawn is going to drop. So bishop d6. And now you can try to pause the video, find a very strong move for white. And no, it's not b5, think about something else. So if you pause the video, the move is knight to d4, highlighting the fact that the bishop on d6 is loose and white is attacking the enemy bishop, plus threatening to take on c6. So black has two ways to reply to this. One of them is bishop g6. If knight takes d4, white will simply take e d4, castle, knight to b3, rook f8, d5, knight e5, and after the very strong castle long, black has some problems with the d5 pawn that is hanging at the moment, so white is just better. And after knight d4, if bishop g6 is on the board, here a very instructive sequence of moves. So again, just pay close attention to this. It might not seem like a lot, but white does something really smart. So white takes on c6, and now bishop to a6, threatening to play bishop b7. So black has to go to b8, and now white goes bishop e2. So notice that white developed his bishop to e2, and now is attacking the a7 pawn. So white won a tempo, because black has to play rook a8, and now white can do something very smart again, go rook a6, attack the c6 pawn, force the knight to go passive, and now white goes rook on a4. So white actually won one move with rook a4, and then another one with bishop to e2, because now he can castle. So the main difference is that now after short castle, white is ready to play rook a1, double the rooks, and win the a pawn. So this would be just much better for white. So yeah, if you manage to stick till the very end of this video, I'm going to be dropping the move order that the top players are using to get the London in their own games in these days. So yeah, this is something that you can also try to do. And it starts by the move order with knight f3. So I know I kind of mentioned that this is a little bit inaccurate, but I was meaning that it's inaccurate the way the most players are doing it. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So we already discussed knight f6, bishop f4, c5, e3, and knight to c6. And yeah, we talked about c3, queen b6, black is fine, and you know, it's a comfortable game. So actually, the game changer that, you know, the top players are doing is the move knight b to d2. Yeah, that's a very interesting line. I already covered some games with it on the channel, so make sure you check out my London playlist. And because I have a game of Garakamsky after bishop f5, dc5, a very nice victory by him. And I will be covering this position in greater depth in one of my upcoming videos about the London system. So if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give a like to this video, and yeah, I'll see you in the upcoming videos on the channel. So thank you for watching, and take care.